Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition races overview. And this particular race overview deals with one of the new races that was incorporated in the Princes of Apocalypse, and this is the Deep Gnome. Now, you can find the PDF free online at the Wizards of the Coast website, but don't worry, I'll have a link down below in the comments section where you can download this Player's Companion PDF. It has the Deep Gnome, it has the Aarakocra, it has the Genasi, and it also has the Goliath. And it also has about 100 new spells. So you'll be able to download that for free. And without even having to buy Princes of Apocalypse, which is really nice. So, let's start digging into the Deep Gnome. The Deep Gnome they've been around for a while. Not only in D&D 5e, but 4e and other editions. And they have a really unique name that they're called. Now I'm going to try to pronounce this. This is a very hard word to pronounce, but it's Svirfneblin. I believe that the proper pronunciation for that is Svirfneblin, and that is basically what the Deep Gnome is called, and they are from the Underdark. You know, the Underdark can be in any campaign setting that you want, even though I think it originated from the Forgotten Realms. You can put the Underdark anywhere. I mean, you can put the Underdark in the Nenter Vale. You can also put it in Dark Sun, anywhere you want. There's no rule saying that you can't have the Underdark anyway, so anywhere. So if you want to have these Svirfneblins or Deep Gnomes in your campaign, there you go. So the Deep Gnomes, like I said, they're not the surface dwellers like the Forest Gnomes and the Rock Gnomes. You know, the Deep Gnomes, they have a very thick leathery skin, a very dark grayish brown type of color to them, which acts like a natural camouflage in the Underdark. And you know, the Svirfneblin, they don't get very big. They're bald early from childhood, and they're just a really crazy looking gnome. And here's an example of what a Deep Gnome looks like. Very dashing fellow here. So, along with their great looks, they are master miners. And there's a little section here that they're not joyless. They do enjoy mining. They admire their skillful work. They have a very dedicated craftsmanship, just like the other gnomes do. Whether it's a rock gnome that's tinkering, they still take pride in what they do. And the Deep Gnomes, they love to seek out precious stones in the Underdark and in the other deepest and darkest tunnels throughout the Underdark. Now, they're expert gem cutters, along with going along with miners, and the Deep Gnomes, they prize rubies above all other gemstones. You know, like I said, they're deep dwellers. You know, they dwell in the Underdark, and most of them have never ever seen the light of day. And they actually, the Deep Gnomes, you'll see when we start looking at their skills, there's pros and cons to playing this race, but it's actually a little bit more beneficial to play something like a Deep Gnome than it would be a Drow, because the Drow gets some other penalties which the Deep Gnome does not get. So, but the Deep Gnomes, like I said, they love to remain hidden. They love the Underdark, and most of the time they wouldn't be a surface dweller, or you know, they just wouldn't. The Deep Gnomes, they also make great spies. They, you know, because they love the hide. They make great scouts, great messengers of the Underdark. They know their way around all of the networks of tunnels, so it's going to be hard for them to get lost just because of their mining backgrounds. They're just not really going to get lost. And also, the Svirfneblin, or Deep Gnome, they also love to be traveling merchants of the Underdark. And I have one in one of my games that kind of goes from game to game, and his name is Mick the Peddler. And he's a Deep Gnome. So Mick loves to try to do dealings with the Drows and with the Illithids and the Duergar, and then he sometimes makes his appearance on the surface in his Quailish of apparatus and tries to make deals with the party. So it's kind of fun to have a special character like that. Now, there's some Deep Gnome names here as examples. There's, like the dwarves and a lot of the other races, it'll give you some clan name examples. And there's also some male and female name examples here. So let's get into what everybody really wants to see, and let's look at the bonuses that you're going to get for being a Deep Gnome. Now, first off, you're going to get the base gnome. For the Deep Gnome traits, you're going to get intelligence score of 2 and the dexterity by 1. So basically, they added everything in from the player's handbook into this as well. So this is what you're going to get. You're going to get the intelligence by 2 and dexterity by 1. So the ability score increase, your ability scores, it would be good for you to play anything intelligence or dex based. Maybe if you want a multi-class, maybe a rogue or wizard, or if you just want to play a wizard or a rogue. But it's ultimately up to you guys. Just because you get intelligence and dex bonuses doesn't mean that you have to play that class. If you want to play a fighter Deep Gnome or a paladin Deep Gnome, go for it. There's nothing holding you back. That's the great thing about 5th edition. Now, for age, the Deep Gnomes, they're short-lived for gnomes, probably the shortest lived. They live to about 200 to 250 years old, and they're adults by 20 to 25 years old. And their alignment, the Svirfneblin believe that survival depends on avoiding entanglements with other creatures and not making enemies, so they favor neutral alignments. And that's pretty much what Mick the Peddler is also. He is neutral, although he does love to turn a profit. But 5e gives you the freedom, though, just like your ability scores. If you want to play an evil Deep Gnome in maybe an evil Underdark campaign where you're raiding Drow cities or Duergar cities, go for it. If you want to play a good Deep Gnome, go for it. There's no rule saying that you can't do that. So the size of the Svirfneblin is about 3 to 3.5 feet tall. You're going to weigh about 80 to 100 pounds, 80 to 100 to 120 pounds, and you're going to be of a small size. So if you're using optional rules for initiative, that could actually benefit you. But like I said, those are optional rules, and we're not dealing with those. I'm just kind of giving you guys a heads up. They're one of the few small races along with the halfling. Now, you're going to get a 25. That's the one drawback about being small, is you get a 25-foot movement per round, which is your base walking speed of 25. You're going to get superior dark vision, and this is where your dark vision is 120 feet, instead of usually all of the other races have a 60-foot radius for dark vision. But you are going to get superior, which you're going to be able to see twice as far away. That is very nice. You're also going to get Gnome Cunning, which this is where it's going to give you, playing your Deep Gnome, advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic only. That's the key word. You'll get advantage on intelligence, wisdom, charisma saving throws as long as it's against magic. That's still really strong. Stone Camouflage, you're going to get that. This is where you're going to have advantage on dexterity stealth checks as long as you're in a very dark, rocky terrain. So that's really nice too. Last but not least, your languages. You're going to be able to speak, read, and write Common, Gnomish, and Undercommon, which Undercommon is the language of the Underdark. And the Svirfneblin dialect is more guttural than Surfish Gnomish, and most Svirfneblin know only a little bit of Common, but those who deal with outsiders, usually Mick the Peddler type of creatures that do a lot of traveling, mercantilism, then they would be able to understand Common a little bit better. But depending on your DM, I'm sure you could probably work something out with the languages. Common, you can usually speak a broken type of Common and still be able to communicate with anybody. So, also, one more thing about the Deep Gnome. We like options, don't we? Well, there is an optional feat that you can give your Deep Gnome. Now, in the Player's Handbook, in Chapter 6, there's a whole chapter of these feats that you can take. They are optional, and it's up to your dungeon master if he or she allows you to play with these feats. Now, this Svirfneblin magic is an optional feat that is not in the player's handbook, but you would be able to play this if you were only a Deep Gnome. So if you use one of your ability score improvements to forego getting your 2 ability points, take Svirfneblin magic if your dungeon master allows you. And this is where you inherited the innate spellcasting ability of your ancestors. This feat allows you to cast non-detection on yourself at will. This will, and you need no type of material component. Then you'll also be able to cast each of the following spells: blindness, deafness, blur, and disguise self. Now, you can see that once you cast these, you'll have to have a long rest, and all of these spells are basically shadowy themed. So it's really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this racial overview. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, please subscribe to the channel and check out my website, tabletopping.net, where I have over 840 character sheets, every class, every archetype, levels 1 to 20. Download them. They're all nice 3-page PDF formats. You can download them to your iPad, your iPhone, anything you got. It's all user-friendly. So thank you guys again for watching. See you next time.